everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And happy it is the very end of Christmas in July. We're getting this to you. We're talking about a movie from this Christmas in July season, a new Hallmark movie. Very exciting. I think this is the quickest we will have done a film for On Friendship. It
Yes.
literally just came out last week.
Look at us on top of it.
Yeah. And so yeah, we're almost at 40 on friendship episodes. This is 39.
Whoa, we have
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
something special for number
I know.
40.
I feel like we do. So if y'all have any ideas, let us know. Because we've recorded more together, of course, because we have like the
Yeah.
Christmas episodes
Yeah,
and other
absolutely. But
things. But
this
as
is
far as
on
just
friendship.
on friendship, yeah. And if people are new to this segment, this is where we take a Hallmark movie and we talk about it in try to talk about it from as many relationships as possible, not just a romantic relationship. And this one is going to be ripe for that, for
Yes.
lots of relationships to talk. And of course, I am from Careers Wedding, and we have Alysa Lucas is here, who is the friendship
Hello.
expert,
Hi.
communications expert. And we're talking about Take Me Back for Christmas, which is a new 2023 Christmas in July film. And I'm really curious to talk to you about it. I really
Yes.
loved it. Terry, my co-host Terry, when we were doing our Christmas in July ranking, she really loved it. And so fingers crossed.
It was the worst. No,
Yeah.
just
And
kidding.
I do try to give you a little heads up when we watch one of the Weepers.
Yeah.
So hopefully I prepared you this
Yes,
time.
you did.
Oh, good.
You did.
That's good. I was like, have tissues ready.
I was like, what are you getting me into if I have to have tissues? Goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
Yeah. But let's read the summary. So it just says, after a particularly disheartening work day at her local gift shop, Renee makes a Christmas wish for a different life. And one of the things you probably wouldn't realize this, but this movie was directed by the star Corey Sevier,
Oh,
who plays the husband, and it was written by his wife Kate Pragnell. So this is like an amazing combo,
like
director,
a family
writer.
affair.
Yes, and I think that it's got to help, like bring in that emotional core when you're dealing with a wife, husband,
Yeah.
dynamic going on. He's the actor,
Yeah.
all of that. It's got to help.
Or it could be very nerve-wracking, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah. It could make it more intense.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this movie, it stars Corey Sevier and Vanessa Lenges. I'm not sure how you say her last name. I apologize, Vanessa. But they have actually been in a Hallmark movie previous together. I think it was called Heart of the Holidays.
Mm.
Yes, so this is their second time together. And then the mother is played by Paula Badrou, and she I thought was excellent in the
Mm-hmm.
film. And then I also really enjoyed Kimberly Ann Trong as the elf slash angel.
Yes.
She's really cute. And then Bryn Godinier is the name who plays her friend Tasha.
Tasha, yes.
So great cast, great
Yeah.
cast. And let's dive in. Let's talk about it. So
All right.
overall, what did you think? What did you think of the movie?
I thought it was cute. I did not end up crying. I guess
Oh,
I was
okay.
more sad slash depressed. So
Okay.
than I was full on weeping.
Fair
I
enough.
mean, this wasn't Beach's level for me, which
Okay.
is a movie that I would definitely cry during,
Yeah.
but that one I can't get through it.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was really interesting. I think it's really fascinating to think about what you would do if you had a
Mm-hmm.
chance to live another life, and
Yeah.
like it really gets at this idea of like what regrets you might have or what sort
Yeah.
of fears you have. And so it just really gets at like that we fear change,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
what would we do if we just got out there and was living the life that we thought we wanted, and then you realize that maybe you were living the life that you wanted.
Well, and I think that theme of regret and getting a chance to say goodbye, that is something that always is like, I just turn into waterworks, public water.
Yeah.
Like I am a faucet when it comes to movies anyway. Like I just like there's not
You're a
even a sad
crier.
scene, and I'm like, oh,
I've
I
only cried
touched a
in a
nerve.
few movies, so that
It's
is
you can make a
me.
longer list of movies that didn't make me cry. I
Yeah.
am easy, but especially that theme, yeah, of loss and regret and getting a
Yeah.
chance to say goodbye. I mentioned it in our Christmas in July ranking, but there's this little movie called Every Day is Christmas. It's a totally stupid title. I don't know why it's called that, but
Because every day is
yeah,
Christmas.
but it's about it's a take on Christmas Carol. It makes no sense that
Yeah.
why the title, but anyway, it's a Christmas Carol retelling, but what they I thought was really clever of what they did is that instead of it being greed that has immobilized the lead actress, the lead character, it is grief because her parents died in suddenly in this horrible car accident, and she just got stuck,
Yeah.
and that's what caused her to become bitter, and that's what caused her. And so what they did that I thought was so smart is they had each one of the ghosts were her parents
Oh my
for each
goodness.
one. Yeah. And every time she saw her mom, it was just like done. Like she could
Yeah.
barely like deal with it. And so I feel like that is something that is just so like emotionally true. Like if
Yeah.
you I mean, thankfully I've not lost either of my parents. I've never
Same. Knock on
like
wood.
yeah. But I think theoretically, if your mother had died and then you saw them again, like you it you
I
would
did
could you even function? Like I mean it
I
would
did
be
like that the actress she fainted, and I was like, that
yeah.
is the exact reaction that is expected if you see a mother that you've lost to illness.
Yeah.
Like that is absolutely
So what they do is they start out this kind of portrayal of this couple, and
Mhm.
she's working in this gift shop type place. She keeps getting promised that she's going to get a raise, that she's going to get a promotion. She keeps
Mhm.
getting promised that she's going to get a promotion, but this boss, like I think he's sort of well-meaning, but kind of stringing her along too.
He's like sort of straddling whether or not to retire, and
Yeah, and
so it's like a back and forth,
you get the
right?
feeling
Like
that he's played this game every
for a
year
while.
for a while, and she's been
Yeah.
working there for 5 years. And then after her mom died, she just got stuck and
Mhm.
afraid to take any risk, afraid to make any choices because what would happen, and she also didn't want to move, and they're in this big house.
That
Didn't
was her
want That
mother's.
was her
Like
mom's
she doesn't
house.
want, like that's really tough to like sell your mother's
Yeah.
house when you've lost her, you know.
Mm-hmm. And her husband has always wanted to go to culinary school, become a chef, but he's put that on hold because they have the house, they don't have the like economic flexibility to do something like that because of this mortgage and everything.
Do
And
any of us? Good gravy.
yeah. And so he is kind of the perfect husband, but I think that you really needed that in order to sort of carry you through and to really point out the difference between
Mhm.
Aaron in each reality of Aaron,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
I think it's interesting that he asked her in the original reality, like the
Yeah.
reality that we begin with, that he asked her like they should start a business together, and like talking about her running the business end and he doing the cooking
Yeah.
and selling the house and that sort of thing, and she was like, we're not ready for it, costs money, we can't do it. And he asked her, are you happy? And
Yeah.
it's almost like she can't give him an answer, and it's almost like she's afraid to admit that she's not happy.
Mm-hmm.
She can't admit to herself that she is stuck at this point. It's like going through
Yeah.
the second reality is what she needs to really figure it out.
Yeah, and he says, "Are you happy for real? Let's
Yeah.
start. We could start over." Sometimes in life, you have to take the chance, but she's just so scared of
Well, hey,
rocking the
in her
boat.
defense, moving is the
It
worst.
is the worst.
I can only imagine on top of that selling a house. I'm a renter, so I don't know,
Right.
but I can imagine selling a house is
The
even worse
worst.
and then moving. So, I mean, but I think that's part of life is that we have these changes and transitions and we can't really necessarily stop them from coming. And sometimes we do everything
Mm-mm.
we can to stop them. Um, but that transitions and change is hard. It's like we're sort of like reactive to it. We don't want
Yeah.
it to happen. And sometimes that change is exactly what we need.
Well, and I'm not, obviously neither of us are married, but I think that's got to be one of the biggest challenges of marriage is forming a common goal that both your dreams, both you're not
Yeah.
forcing a square peg into a round hole,
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
Compromise. Compromise.
It's
Or
tough.
just or just like figuring out like who might work on like if he wanted to go to
Uh-huh.
culinary school, then once he's done with culinary school, can they then she do what she dreams of, that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
And like are student loans going to be into come into play? What's going,
Oh, well, don't
you
even
know.
get me started on that.
But all of those questions and what is not in doubt is that he loves her
Hmm.
and will do anything for her. Will
Yeah.
like in what that's I mean, ideally that's what I mean, it could be taken to a toxic place, I suppose, but
Hmm.
he's not like miserable. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem like he seems like he's happy enough in
Yeah.
the life that he has.
But he can also
And
see
so
bigger and better things for them
yes,
as a couple, as a family, starting a family,
yeah, but
starting a business.
her happiness is his priority, number one priority, which I
Yeah.
think is, again, you don't, it could be taken to a toxic place, but for the most part, I think in in most friendships, but especially in a marriage, like the other person's happiness needs to be extremely high up on the priorities list. It
Yeah,
needs to
it can't
be
be all about
very,
you. It can't be
yeah,
about me. It has to be about we.
yeah.
That's really what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm. Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/hallmarkies. At least for me, I really felt endeared to him from the very beginning.
I
And
liked him a lot
yeah,
in this role.
he was very good. And you can tell that they worked together one time before. They have that natural chemistry. It felt like a married couple. It felt like a natural couple.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
And
didn't have any problems with casting or
yeah.
chemistry or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's nice. Then it's like focusing on the story,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And so she goes in, she has this friend Tasha who works at the gift shop, and she says Aaron's having this midlife crisis, and she brings Tasha this gift basket, and so she has like a skill of sort of putting together the ideal gift basket, but the boss just like takes it and throws it
Was that
away.
not the most infuriating moment of the entire movie? First off, he assumes that she's ordered something for the gift shop, but really she's put something together for her friend. He
Right.
takes it, eats it, but then doesn't eat all of it. He throws
And
it
then
in
he
the
just
trash.
throws it away.
Like, so rude. Oh my God. I literally was like, I'm not gonna like him.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I felt like I do think that he was well-meaning, but I think that he was just oblivious to like his actions and how they affected other people.
Yeah, like pay attention to people around you, buddy.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Or don't just throw away this lovely curated basket of treats and goodies.
Yeah.
Or share. If you're not going to eat all of it, share it with your employees. Good gravy.
Yeah, he was a bore. Like bore in the sense of like pig, not bore in the sense of boring.
B-O-A-R.
Yeah, B-O-A-R. So she's feeling frustrated, and then this elf kind of character comes and gives her a little bell. It says you can make a wish on the bell, and she falls on the ice. She's getting really frustrated.
Having like the worst day ever.
Yeah, she really is.
Her basket was stolen. She's not happy. She falls on the ice. So yeah.
Yeah.
What's next?
And then she gets in the car and the car won't start.
It's a comedy of errors.
Yeah. And so she takes out the bell and she wishes for a different life.
Okay, question. If you had a wish with a bell and it was to come true, what would you wish for?
That's hard.
Would you wish for a different life? I stumped her. I did it. It finally happened.
I mean, I feel like I would want like just a slightly more successful version of my life.
Yeah, that's fair.
You'd have like tons of patrons and it would be like really successful and everything would be great.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to worry so much. And
yeah. Mine is boring. It's like, can you forgive my student loans? Just make
something like that.
Lame.
I mean, I guess if you really could wish for a totally like I would love to meet somebody and fall in love, and so maybe I would, maybe I'd wish for that.
I've always wanted to live in a big city. It feels like there's things happening, and I live in a small college town, and it doesn't feel like things are happening, which I do like the quiet and peace a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But I also want to go out and do stuff. I was in LA this past week, and I'm like, there's so much to do.
I would love to have like a little place by the beach somewhere. That's a dream of mine someday.
Nice.
Little pied a terre by the beach. That's a dream of mine. But
I would want to be out in the forest, in the woods, as long as there's no creatures or serial killers out there. That's part of my wish.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about what you would wish for. But I mean, I think I guess what I wish for love and like just like a modicum more success. Like I don't need to be like crazy wealthy.
You don't want to get too famous and popular and rich. You turn into like a jerk.
Yeah.
We don't want that. You're not a jerk.
It would be nice if I could take like a week off and not have to worry.
Yeah.
I can't.
Oh.
Yeah. Really.
Vacation.
I have in order for me to take a week off, I have to prepare everything so that there's stuff going for when I'm gone. And otherwise there's just no income, no content, nothing for the sponsors, nothing for it would be nice to be doing so well that I wouldn't have to worry about that. But if anybody wants to sign up for the Patreon, information in the description.
Well, since we have you here,
please. It's great. It's a big bang for your buck. But anyway, so she wishes for a different life, and
which I think could have been a little bit more of a specific wish.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's fair.
Anything could have happened.
Yeah, it could be way worse.
It could have been.
Well, I mean, that's the whole It's a Wonderful Life. He wakes up and he's got this horrible life. if he hadn't been born, where just the fact that George Bailey doesn't exist, all of what's it called? It turns into Pottersville, and
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I have to say, I don't think if I hadn't been born, I don't think that that the town I live in would have turned into a cesspool of moral decay. but you also have to think about the fact that Clarence is trying to convince George not to commit suicide. So of course it's going to be Stark. Like if they had like the other version of life without George Bailey and it was like no difference, then he's not going to, So by design, it's a stark difference. But anyway, a lot of times these alternate life movies, a lot of times I struggle with them because you get too invested in the alternate life, and especially if they give them like family and they give them like, have you ever seen the Nicolas Cage Family Man?
Yes, I have.
So in that movie, he's like this businessman, and then he wakes up in this alternate dimension, and he has wife and kids.
Yeah.
But the problem is that like the wife and kids aren't real, so it creates like a difficult ending because you become invested in this couple, you invested in the kids, and then they have to kind of try to make it a satisfying ending because they're not real, and so then he has to go and hunt down Taylor Leone and find her and everything, and so that can be a problem. They did one. Were you weren't on the recap for Kiss Before Christmas, were you? James Denton.
I feel like
I can't remember.
I don't remember the titles. Anyway, I'm not good with the titles.
There was this movie with James Denton where he wishes for a different life. He's kind of this housing guy, this real estate guy, and he feels like he's always losing out to the people with less integrity that are getting the big jobs, and he's not. And so he wishes for this other life. He wakes up in the altered dimension, and he has a super nice house and a fancy car, the whole thing. Talking toaster, hilarious. Toaster. But he's not in that dimension. He's not married to Terry Hatcher, and what they did was so brilliant. So he has 2 kids in the real world, and but it was so smart because they had both of his kids be adopted.
Oh.
So in the alternate dimension, because if they were his kids, they just wouldn't exist, right?
Yeah.
Well, because they're adopted, he sees his kids with other parents.
Oh, that's interesting.
So smart, right? And
that's interesting.
Yes, and they're like happy, and but he's like, those are my kids, and so that was brilliant. That one was one of my favorites. I really, really enjoyed it. And so that can be a tough thing, though, is to kind of make this altered dimension, to make it so you're satisfied with the real world when they get back.
Yeah.
It can create an ending problem. And I think that they did like a good enough job of putting her to a position where she had to basically choose between her husband and her mom.
Yeah.
Getting to that ending position of it's devastating, and her having to say goodbye, but she got that chance to say goodbye to her mom, and she gets to go back to her husband. It was a very tricky landmine that they situation.
Well, I also think like in the life that she leads starting, her mom isn't there, so I think she knows what life is like without her. It's just that ability to see her one more time and to say goodbye that makes the difference.
But it makes for a satisfying ending because we've been through that journey with her, and now we're seeing her back with the husband, especially with what happens with the gift that she gives her husband at the end, and we're talking about being stuck and everything. And I think Kate Pragnell, who wrote it, she crushed it. I think she did such a good job. That was very tricky, and I'm sure I definitely want to have her on the podcast once all these writer stuff and strikes and actor strikes are done. I want to have her on the podcast because I'm sure that this went through many revisions. I'm positive.
It'd be interesting to hear like the process.
I would really like to know like kind of how many kind of iterations of the mom versus the husband versus the, you know, everything that kind of went.
Is it like
on.
Clue where there's 3 endings?
Yeah.
What? I always love watching all 3 endings.
I think they did a really good job of making the alternate world, the business, we'll just call it business world. They made business world look really appealing. I loved the way she was styled. I loved her clothes. I loved her bag.
Her hair. I thought her hair was better in business world.
Oh, no question. Yeah. And it just, they did such a good job of making this look appealing and making it fulfilling and making her, it was just there wasn't a second where we were like, her other life, that this is big bad business. No, this was like a definite upgrade from the beginning.
Although the guy that she worked closely with, I was on the fence about him. I was like, is he evil?
Yeah.
Is he good or bad? I couldn't quite tell. And
I think he was kind of like the boss in the sense of well-meaning, but sort of clueless, like not. Yeah. But yeah, I did kind of wonder about him. I was concerned
he was going to ruin something.
Well, and I was a little bit concerned about, did they want us to think that he's like a competition for Aaron?
Oh,
you know, like, or
I never picked up on that. I never felt that at all. There was the chemistry, I guess.
Yeah,
lead me to believe that.
But they didn't ever really do. I mean, for the most part with this movie, like most of the stuff with like the meal kits and her, like with Aaron and all that stuff was just like, it's fine. Like that was not what I liked about this movie. Like I said, I think they did a good enough job getting you to the spot where he was not going to take that leap with her in this alternate world. Like she had burned those bridges. He was not going to do it. And so she knew that she had to go back to the real world. And of course, then the angel tells her that she has to go back, but and that she gets this chance to say goodbye. But it morally, it put her in the position of like, I either have to go, like, I kind of have to fight for my mom or I have to fight for my husband. And I think they did a good enough job of putting her in that situation. But as far as the mechanics of like him trying to get her to, I mean, her trying to get him to make like the meal kits, like that was all just like perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But, like,
I thought that was what was interesting. So when the movie started, I was like, wait, they're already married? So where's the romance? And then the idea is sort of like in the business world, they're sort of exploring the relationship again. And I was like, okay, so here it is. I was like, a Hallmark movie without romance? That's rare. And then I was like, oh, never mind. They're not together in the new reality.
Well, that's why I think it was so important to paint him at the beginning as he wasn't perfect, but he was very ideal.
Yeah. No, he
kind of need that at the beginning, because if he was just like a schlub husband, then like why would she?
Be like, who cares? She'd be like, I'm staying in the business world.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Finding Us by Tracy Peterson. You will not want to miss out on this exclusive 30% off book deal from author Tracy Peterson. In her new book, set in 1901, one candid photograph will change the lives of 4 people forever. While taking photos at an exposition, camera girl Eleanor Bennett meets a handsome stranger, Bill Reed, who recognizes the subjects in one of her portraits as a missing woman and her child. As they hunt for the truth, Eleanor and Bill will have to band together to face the danger that follows. Purchase Finding Us for 30% off and free shipping at bakerbookhouse.com. That's bakerbookhouse.com, or use the affiliate link below. She ends up at her fancy luxury apartment. She's got all these clothes. She's got all this stuff, bags. And so I was curious, what would be your luxury item that if you had the big job and you could get...
Oh,
what would be would it be shoes? Would it be clothes? Would it be jewelry? Would it be...
see, I stumped you on that, on my question, and then you stumped me.
Would you go
Okay.
to like fancy food? Like, what would be your luxury that you'd be like, yeah.
Okay. So I have two thoughts. One, I would love fancy clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also want fancy food. So can I have it all?
Okay. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also, I feel like in the business world, I would be able to afford a piano, and that's something that I would really, really want.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's
No, I
luxury.
think that counts. Yeah.
Yes.
Those things count.
What about you?
Yeah, I would definitely say food.
Mm,
I yeah, I think that I don't think I would care about clothes. I definitely wouldn't care about car. That would not I
yeah.
would do not care about
Not if you're
car.
in a big city, you get a driver.
Yeah, yeah. Driver. That would be so nice to have a driver.
I hate driving. I need a driver.
Yeah. I don't really care about bags or there's I'm not or shoes. I'm not like offended by them,
Yeah.
I think really yummy food
Yeah.
probably would be my
I'm ready
luxury
for
item.
it. But
And
not pretentious food where it's like everything's deconstructed or some.
I would get stuff that would like significantly make my life more comfortable. Like I would love to have I desperately need to get a new mattress.
Yeah.
And they're just really expensive.
Yeah.
If any of those like Purple or any of the mattress companies, if you want to sponsor the podcast, please, I would be so
You're
happy.
like, I could try it out.
Yeah. Um yeah, that's the stuff I would gravitate to. Like
Yeah.
traveling a lot more.
Yeah, I probably want to travel.
I'd be able to go to festivals with ease, stay in hotels. I
Yeah.
love staying in hotels. But
Really?
I can't really afford them, but I love hotels.
I do love that sometimes for whatever I'm doing for work that I might somehow get into a fancy hotel and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
ooh,
Yeah.
the lap of luxury.
It's it's the best. The best.
Yeah, there's I do travel twice a year for my
Mm-hmm.
job with athletics, and there's one hotel that I love when we go to it. It's connected to this amazing grocery store so you can get prepared foods and the
Mm.
rooms are nice and just
Oh,
there's just everything
best.
about it is like, yes. And then we weren't in that hotel in May and I was so disappointed. Like, oh, come on.
Yeah, regular massages and like go to
Yes.
the spa and stuff like that. Yeah,
I
that's
want a
more my
driver.
style. A driver, a chef,
I want
personal chef. Oh my gosh.
I want a lot of dogs and cats.
But anyway,
This is why we don't have money because we're ridiculous.
I don't get to do most of these things. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the meet cute when she stumbles him in the towel. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That was good.
Well, and she's like, I just love that she thinks they're together. And he's like, what are you doing here? Like, and the
It's
fact that
really
it's been
funny.
several years, it wasn't like it was a
Yeah.
recent
Well,
breakup, but
and
they,
she's just really funny when she says things like "You're perfect," and you'd be perfect for the job.
yeah. Yeah. Like trying to catch what she's saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want some other chef. I want you. I want you for the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we find out that his kitchen is being bought out by a developer and that he gave up playing hockey, which I feel like if he was this sort of ensconced bachelor at this point, he would probably play hockey even more. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, he gave it up.
Yeah.
And we have this whole sort of hockey scene,
Yeah. That
which
was
was fun.
cute.
It was cute.
Although I was concerned about the ice the whole time. I was
It was
like, is
definitely
it?
that fake ice.
Yeah, I was like, what is happening with this ice? I
Because
was
sometimes
concerned for them.
because obviously they make these movies in the summer, most of
Summer.
them,
Yeah.
and so they use these sheets of plastic
Yeah.
that they skate on, and that's clearly what they had here.
I was like, is it wet? Is it Is it falling apart? Are we okay? It's
Yeah.
not in the budget. And this was a Christmas in July. It should have been filmed during Christmas time or like winter time.
Yeah. And then so she gives him the Santa apron and hat. He makes her this taste test of these meals. And I would be all about, if any of you meal kit companies are thinking of doing a meal kit for Christmas, I would be all about
Let's
that.
do
And you could
it.
sponsor the podcast. We have had HelloFresh as a sponsor before, actually.
Cool.
It was a long time ago, but yeah, we have back in like 2018.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, and so then they have a near kiss, and that's when he says, "Look, I'm thinking of leaving the city. I was not expecting any of this. I hadn't heard from you for forever."
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, and what's interesting is that he wanted to get out of being a chef.
mhm.
So, like, originally he wants to be a chef and he's selling insurance. And it's almost like he's leaving the chef business to go into insurance. And I'm like,
Yeah.
buddy, I think you're doing the wrong change. And she even says, like, but this is what you're passionate about. So why would you leave it?
It is a really hard business.
Yeah.
But she gets this business associate that you were talking about. He hands her this contract and it's like, you just have to sign it. It's all been approved and everything like that. The
You read it a
European,
year ago.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
the London expansion. And I don't understand why this would necessarily have to impact her,
Yeah.
because either way, they're going to need employees in, what is this, Chicago?
I don't even
They're
know.
they're going, or New York or whatever. They're going to need employees in the States,
Yeah. So
and
why can't
then
she stay?
they're going to need employees in London.
And I would
So
think that the CEO would be able to do whatever they want.
yeah, exactly. But it basically, like, this European expansion means she has to move. That's what she's agreed to do when she signs this, and she signs it. And then she offers him the job, and she's like, "We could start over." And he's like, "What?" And
Yeah.
she invites him to the Christmas party. And we find out that, oh, we haven't even talked about it. So she, so when she wakes up in this alternate dimension, she sees her mother who had
Yeah.
passed away, and she
She
faints, like you said.
faints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I just thought that Vanessa just killed it in that
Yeah.
scene where she's just like, "I missed you so much."
Yeah.
And that really got to me, because
Yeah.
there's certain things that, like, my grandfather passed away in 2001, and
Yeah.
I still struggle. All these years
Yeah.
later, I still struggle to talk about without crying.
Yeah.
Like, I miss him so much. And I can't even imagine how much more that must be when you're talking about a parent,
Yeah.
a very close parent.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the mother, that actress, was absolutely great. I loved
Yeah.
her performance. She was so warm. And Paula Boudreau, she was absolutely fantastic, I thought, in this movie.
Yeah. She definitely makes you feel like you want her to be
Oh,
your mom.
oh, yeah. And I just thought that scene, like I said, I thought Vanessa just killed it in that
Yeah,
scene.
she's
It
great.
was so good. I missed you so much. Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
And she's like, and the mom's like, okay, because it's like in their reality, she probably just, saw her. Well, actually, she didn't see her because that's one of the things she discovers going through her phone. She recognizes that there's a bunch of text messages. So her mom is, in fact, alive. But what she sees in those text messages is that she's been canceling plans with her mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm.
she was too busy for her partner, and she's too busy for her mother. And
Yeah.
so this is where the business started taking over in the
Yeah.
business reality.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so she finds out that her mom is going on this trip, and in the real life, her mom died on the trip, right?
I just know that her mom died. I
Yeah,
don't
her mom died.
remember how.
Yeah, I
I
think
thought
on the
she was
trip.
sick. I thought she was sick.
But anyway,
Nonetheless,
the mom died. She
my
finds out
mom
she's going
passes
on this
away.
trip, and then she she finds out that about this expansion. There's this Christmas party. She gives this toast. I really loved her. I loved her clothes in business world throughout.
Yeah.
She looked great. I loved her Christmas dress.
The dress was great.
Yeah.
It was a really
The
pretty
green.
color, green. Yeah.
It was really good. She gives a toast to Aaron, and then they have this conversation after, and she's like, we can do long distance, and he's like, no, this is how it'll play out. You'll start doing really well, and then I'll hear from you less and less and less and less,
like what happened before.
Yeah. And she's like, I had no idea about London. That was new. And he says, you always need more time. And then she says, we can have it all. And he said, no. And
well, I think it just brings up an interesting idea about humans, and that is a lot of us will say we can start tomorrow, like whether it be a diet or a workout regimen or a new routine, or we'll just push it to tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes, okay, next week, okay, and we just never do the things that we say we're going to do, that we're always waiting for the right time, and maybe that's not going to come, that maybe the time is now. And so that was something that came up for me in this movie, is like, it shouldn't have to wait to eat better. I can start today. Yeah. Right. Just as an example.
Right. And she says, I had him and I didn't appreciate him enough. And as she said, I was afraid of failing and letting go. And it was easier to focus on problems and not heading forward with our dreams.
Yeah. So heading forward. That's the key.
And that's when the angel / elf, and she says, like, this was not going to be forever.
Yeah.
But you got a chance to say goodbye. And she realizes, and you see it in her face, like, oh no.
And that means I have to
say goodbye.
But that was a great scene with the mother and daughter where they are talking and watch the movie and that sort of thing. Like the goodbye scene, I thought was really good. And this must have been, I'm assuming, when the waterworks, the faucet, Rachel's faucet was on.
It was,
and I was just sad and depressed.
It was public waterworks. So I wrote down, this scene is perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could ask for more from everybody involved. The writing was really great. The acting was really great. I guess there's some people who could say like, oh, it was so manipulative, but like, it's the whole point of the movie is to get her to this moment. So I don't know.
She's stuck because she's been stuck since her mom passed away. She needs the opportunity to say goodbye. And, in the reality, the actual reality, maybe she would have found a way to do it. But in this case, she made a wish, and that was the way in which she went about getting her goodbye.
So she has to say goodbye. And she says, I wish we had more time. And she says, I don't want things to change. And then the mom says, change is good. And then she says, even if you have to say goodbye. And the mom says, goodbyes are an important part of life. You can't start again without them. Yeah. And then I just loved when she said, what if I'm not ready?
Yeah. I just have to point out too, were you about to cry reading that?
So good. And she says, you need to make the most of every moment. You, my beautiful girl, have so much good in you that you can do in this world. You just have to go out and do it.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Rachel needs a moment, everybody.
So good. She's like, I'm going to miss you. I will miss. She says, I will miss you too, but I can't wait to see what you will do.
Yeah. Single tear rolling down her cheek. Oh my God.
It was perfect. I don't care what says that.
She's reliving it.
And I just
depressed.
After watching this movie, I really did feel like, I know that there's lots of different opinions out there, but I really did feel like if you can't at least like a little bit get on board in this movie for this movie, I just don't think this genre is for you. Like, I just don't know how they could have executed this better. Like, the writing is so good. The acting was so good. The emotion was there and it was true. And it was something that like all of us can relate to, like who hasn't had to say goodbye? Like
Yeah.
we can relate, to that. And so
Or the chance of saying goodbye exponentially grows as we age too,
right.
though, depending on, transitioning jobs, friends, partners, family, people who pass. I mean, it's just part of life.
I just think that is the most beautiful segment when she says, I wish we had more time. Change is good, even if you have to say goodbye. And then when she says, what if I'm not ready?
Yeah,
so good.
Well, and that's exactly what's going on in the actual reality is she's having a hard,
what
she's
if
not
I'm
ready.
Not ready. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, her mom, you need to make the most of every moment.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
You, my beautiful girl, have so much good you can do in this world. You just have to go out and do it. And I feel like everybody hopefully has one person who is their like cheerleader like that, who like doesn't like tough love. Like, yeah, tough love is needed sometimes and tough love is hard. But I just hope that everybody has one person who's like, I think you are amazing and I love you and I think you can do anything. And and I guess that's why, like, especially my grandpa, like it gets me. I have a hard time even talking about it because he was that person for me.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to your grandpa.
He was the best.
What was his name?
Well, his name was Nevin. Yeah,
Nevin.
That's his first name, Nevin Richards.
Nevin Richards. And shout out to Nevin Richards.
He was the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been gone since 2001.
Wow.
And it's still hard for me to talk about it.
And
it's been that long. But anyway, and so she goes back and she sees Aaron and he's got his bread. And she also finds Tasha in this alternate world. And, she finds out Tasha had a girl.
Yeah.
She'd been waiting to find out.
Yeah.
And
I was glad that Tasha was in the alternate reality as well. Because sometimes it's like they bring friends in and then they don't really play a significant role. Yeah. And they're often pushed aside or forgotten about. And there she was being her supportive friend, although she didn't know her. She was being a supportive person to her in the business reality.
Well, I mean, again, in It's a Wonderful Life, like it makes sense because they're trying to paint this stark reality of like, don't kill yourself because you have all these friends and all this stuff. So yeah, like Nick and all the other people that are friends, his friends, in real life, in the real world, are all of a sudden these like changed, warped, people. But in this one, Tasha was the waitress, and it was cute, at the end when she says, like, you can have she's able to tell the real life, you can have a girl and she's gonna be the luckiest little girl, and she's
very like sweet. Very set that it's a boy, so she doesn't believe her. She's like, you're crazy, and then it's like, just you wait.
yeah that was really good. And then so she gets back and she sees that he's making bread, and she resigns from the job. She sees Tasha, and then she gives Aaron the culinary school registration or whatever, and says, we're going to do it. And she says, my mom died, I got stuck, I didn't want to let her go, and I trapped us here. I didn't even realize the years were going by, and I had forced us to put our life on hold, and you were just waiting. And he says, I'll keep waiting. Ugh.
Yeah.
So And
You're
then she
like,
says,
yes.
no, it's time. You deserve it. Sell the
Yeah.
house. At the end of the day, it's just a place.
Yeah.
Oh,
Home is where you are with your people.
and that was so good too, because so many times in these Hallmark movies, like so much is importance is placed. Like you can't sell the, it's the save the store, save the house, save the farm, save that, like so much value is put on these sort of material things as opposed to
Possessions.
yeah. And in this case, she came to realize that was just a sort of it was like a giant weight, holding her
Yeah.
down, because it
Mhm.
was just all symbolic of her being stuck.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes the whole scene when she has to say goodbye so powerful with her and her mom.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because I enjoyed both Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
But
I've
I
only
put
seen
on,
Barbie right now.
yeah,
And
it was fun. Did you enjoy it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard.
Yeah. It was really good. But I I said that I felt like this was the movie that was the perfect movie. The other two
Yeah.
were really good. This is the one that, like, I can't even talk about it without crying.
Yeah.
It was the one that got me emotional. It was the
Yeah.
one that I just thought it was so moving. And I just loved their marriage and their relationship and her relationship with her friend, with Tasha, what she learns about herself and her bond with her mom. And I think there's so much truth to what she says about, I didn't even realize the years were going by and
Yeah.
I had forced us to put our life on hold.
Yeah, I think this movie just provides a good reminder that we shouldn't wait for things.
Yeah.
That if we might be waiting, it might be too late. And so it's just a good reminder to be like, if you want to do this thing, you should do it, or, not take the people in your life for granted, because you don't know when you might have to say goodbye to them. And so, I thought it was powerful in that way.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people kind of learned that lesson in COVID.
Yeah.
That the quarantine is
Yeah.
like, oh wow, everything can just be taken away like that.
Yeah.
And so the next time, and they called it kind of revenge travel for a couple
Yeah.
of years, that people were like, well, I gotta go do it. And so maybe there was a swing in kind of the other direction, but that I think we did kind of learn that it's easy to just sort of let time go. Like this next weekend, I'm going on a little weekend trip to Bear Lake, and I love being in the water and I love swimming, and I have not even been in a pool this whole summer. I've just been going.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes you have to take a second and you just have to plan it, and you have to
do it.
Yeah.
Like Nike told us, just do it.
Yeah. That's right. Listen to Matt Damon in that movie, right?
Yeah. I'm going to see Oppenheimer on Tuesday, and I'm nervous about how depressed I'm going to be after that movie.
It is it's a sobering film.
Yeah.
Sobering film. But I do recommend it. It was a little it actually was kind of emotionally hollow a little bit to me. It was more like sort of like a history book, a text kind of thing, but I was interesting and very well done. And especially the whole section with the atomic bomb, the test. There's this whole detonation, about 45 minutes of them detonating a test run, and that was very well done. But so I'd recommend it. But this really emotionally impacted
Christmas
me.
in July. This is it.
It crushed
this is it.
Yeah. I mean, I finished it, and I was thinking to myself,
you texted me. You were like, we have to talk about this movie.
I finished it, and I honestly thought, is this one of my favorite Hallmark movies I've ever seen in my life?
There wasn't a cookie crawl in it, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, but I just loved those two scenes when she first sees her mom.
Yeah.
She says, I miss you so much. And Vanessa, I just give her all the credit in the world. I thought she just did an incredible job with those scenes. And then when she has to say goodbye, what if I'm not ready? Oh,
yeah.
it's
Have you
so
ever
good.
had her on the podcast?
No, but I'd love to. I mean, we have to kind of, I think, wait. It's a little bit unsure what's going on because like SAG actors are not supposed to go on make podcast appearances promoting struck work.
Yeah.
So they could come on if they were talking about a previous project, SAG actors, but there's also most of the Hallmark talent aren't actually SAG actors. Most of them are Canadian. There's a Canadian union.
Gotcha.
And they aren't striking. They have a contract. They're fine. And so it's a little bit confusing from our end of like, I don't know what's going on because I would never want to get anybody in trouble. I would never want to break the strike. The strike. So I'm just kind of playing it by ear what's going on. But so if Vanessa, if you're listening and you can come on, I would love to talk to you because I think you're very talented and you did an incredible job. And I don't know how actors are able to bring that kind of emotion out of nothing.
Their job.
Is
it
very
takes a special kind of person to be
impressive.
To be able to do stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you think about it, that they're like, they've got all the lights and the, like everything's so technical. So to like, it seems easier. It's because we've got music and we've got all this stuff that they don't have. And yet they give this incredible performance.
Yeah.
So I give them all the credit in the world.
Yeah.
And I hope
they did a good job.
Next year when we do Hallmarkies Podcast Awards that everybody remembers Vanessa because she will definitely be nominated in Best Actress and she deserves. I would be shocked if there is a Hallmark movie this year that's better than this and that there's a better performance.
Hallmark, it's your move.
The bar has been set, and let's be real. It has not been a great year for Hallmark. And so maybe that's part of it as well, is that I've seen so many clunkers that when something like this comes along and it moves me and that it means more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like when you don't have high expectations and then something just, detonates those expectations.
It really does. It really does. So I loved it. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. And I would give it the full 5 crowns for me, 5 out of 5.
I would give it a 4.75. I enjoyed it very much.
Very
and
high.
I like movies like this that have you think about different, if you had a different life or if you could do something over again or if something didn't happen, like Sliding Doors, which we talked about. I like those kinds of movies. They're thinkers for me because it's like, what would I do in this situation, or what am I not doing in my life now that I could be doing? Like, why am I waiting to do that? That's
it's true. Like we have covered quite a few of these kind of alternate dimensions.
I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it.
Me too. I guess it's a theme that tends to really work for me. And
works for me too.
So there we go. That is our thought of Take Me Back for Christmas. I don't really love that title. Hallmark is usually super lame with the titles, but like
doesn't even make sense.
No, it doesn't really make sense. I mean, I guess it's like kind of an homage to Back to the Future.
It should just be like Take Me Home would have been fine.
Because I would have something with the I don't know how you would bring the mother in, but it should just be called The Christmas Wish. But there's already probably been a billion movies called The Christmas Wish. Yeah. So, but anyway, it was excellent. Way to go, Corey and Kate. You rocked it. So let us know if you're listening what you would give this. What did you think? We would love to have your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And we check out the Christmas, because what we did, me and Terry, we did a ranking of all of the Christmas and July movies that they've ever released on Hallmark Channel.
Nice.
In July. So that was fun. Yeah. And so I'll put a link down to that. People should check it out. It was good. And we both had this very high up on our list.
Yeah, I bet you do.
But where can people find you and your content?
Yes, I host Best Forever's Pod, which is back after a hiatus, and it's comes out every other Friday. And you can find me at Best Forever's Pod on Instagram, and Friends with Alysa on TikTok and Facebook.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And you can find, I have my Barbenheimer content all over there. So check it out. And then check out Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews for both of our podcasts. That would really help us a lot. And then also, if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Most of our viewers are not subscribers. And so if you're one of those people, please subscribe. It really helps us a lot. And then we also have the patron group, as we mentioned, which is, I think, the biggest bang for a buck of any Patreon I know. So please take a look at that. And then we also have the merch store, which has tons of fun designs. So take a look at that. A lot of Christmas and July stuff going on over there. So.
Nice.
And so we'll talk to you all later. Merry Christmas. Bye.
Bye.